you. Tell me what you gonna do, what you gonna do.
Good morning, everybody. This is Stephanie Janisek, and I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about Bob CHAPEK's. And what CHAPEK basically is doing is he's keeping Disney out of Florida state politics. Whether you agree with what DeSantis is doing, and I do, there's no reason to be upset with him for basically stating the obvious that teaching or talking about sexuality should be the purview of the parents, not a teacher or LOL brainwasher slash educator, whatever they want to, the minions of Gozer want to call themselves right now. I've never been impressed with the education and academic system. It doesn't bring to it the best and the brightest. And I've seen it in my own life. Very few teachers that I've had experience with really cared about their kids and really treated them as individuals. I did come up in the Catholic school system, but this was after Vatican II, and we had very few nuns teaching us. And when you get people who aren't there to do their best, they're just drawing a paycheck. And I see it mostly in the state school systems. The product is down. The product is not as good as it should be. And I'm partial to the business people and creatives that go out of their way to actually create something nice. That's where all the best and the brightest have gone, into business. They're not in the education system, and they sure as heck are not in politics. Anyway, that being said, that's my little opinion about that. And trust me, I'd have more to say. But basically, what is going on is schools have taken it upon themselves in many districts to shove homosexuality down kids' throats. Now, I'm not homophobic. I don't care. You know, go off and get as freaky as you want with anybody you want between two consenting adults. But leave the children out of it, okay? And I mean that. It should be criminal what some of these educators are doing. You've got drag queens doing story time. I don't want a 5-year-old boy seeing that. I don't want a 5-year-old girl seeing that. Anyway, Ron DeSantis championed a bill called Don't Say Gay. That's what they call it, the Don't Say Gay bill. And it's moving through both houses of the Florida State Legislature. And it got passed by the House. When it goes to the Senate, I look at it to be passed there too. And it's basically affirming who really raises children in Florida. Bob CHAPEK has decided that Disney will not be making a comment. Basically, to paraphrase the article, he says, basically, we are there to give people entertainment. We are there to make people happy. We are not there to criticize, we're not activists. Now, a Disney insider in the Hollywood Reporter article did say that Bob CHAPEK leans to the right. I'm not surprised. You also have to remember Susan Arnold is a lesbian. Let me remind you guys, There are plenty of gays out there that don't like this crap either. I have one friend, if you were on Twitter, he is known as the Gay Patriot. He started Log Cabin Republicans. His name is Bruce Carroll. And he's very much against this. I have other friends, one who's a photographer on film locations, who is very much against this. So this attitude that both CHAPEK and Arnold are championing are actually mainstream. Okay, it's very few people out there in the gay community that really are upset about it. And most of the people squawking are angry, white, straight, awfuls, affluent, white, female, ultra-leftists. I mean, that's what they are. And what's interesting to me is this piggybacks with Sam Elliott, who is one of, I think, the most handsome men that ever graced Hollywood. His rant on Jane Campion's book, movie, The Power of Dog. Benedict Cumberbatch plays a closeted gay ranch owner in Montana. The movie, of course, was filmed in New Zealand. Now, we go back and talk about Jane Campion. If you remember her, she made her big splash at Hollywood and at the Academy Awards with The Piano. Harvey Keitel played, I think, his part Aborigine guy, and Sam Neill was in it, and I can't remember the woman, Holly. I can't remember her name anyway, it doesn't matter. The movie was about a girl who doesn't talk except she plays a piano. And she gets married off to Sam Neill, and he decides, I'm giving you what I remember of the movie because I've only seen it a few times. He decides he doesn't want her to have the piano. And when they try to get it from the ship that she shows up in from England, they put it on a boat and it sinks. And it's just about her not talking to him, her being cold to him, but it's an arranged marriage, so horror of horrors. And she falls for Harvey Keitel's character. And yes, which you will see Harvey Keitel buck naked, not exactly the sight you want to see when you're drinking wine and whatever. The movie was depressing. The actors did a fine job, but the story was it was your typical feminist attack on romance, attack on male-female relations. It was what Campion tries to do, I think, is she tries to make feminist issues from 100, 200, 300 years ago relevant. And it doesn't work anymore. And so what she did was she tried to bring gay rights and all of this garbage of the last 5, 6, 7 years onto the screen in the guise of a Montana cowboy, a ranch owner, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. Now, I like Cumberbatch, but the fact is, if you look at him and think, wow, he'd be a great Montana ranch owner in the 1920s or whenever this movie was set. No. I mean, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. He's a very sissified guy. All right. I hate to say it. I mean, I like him as an actor, but I don't expect him to be John Wayne, Sam Elliott, William Holden, Clint Eastwood or Harrison Ford in this situation. Okay. He just doesn't have the masculine charm and authentic masculinity to pass it on, to do it. There are British actors who can. I would say Henry Cavill could very easily. Ray Stevenson easily, but not Benedict Cumberbatch. I mean, come on. And for that matter, Ray Fiennes couldn't either. When you're that refined looking of a man, the the audience is already taken out of it. It's like this guy's too pretty. That country's too harsh. The problem that Elliott had was it was a cheap shot at the Western in general, and I think ranch families in particular. I have cousins who've had a ranch near Greeley, Colorado, for almost 100, probably over 150 years now. When I was a kid, I believe, the daughters and the son of the people who settled that area. And they're not like anybody you've ever seen. Brokeback Mountain was an attack on that culture, and now this is. To own a ranch like that and to keep it in the family like that for decades, from one generation to another, it's a vocation. And what I mean, it's a calling. You are in love with the land. The family is part of that land. The land defines them. And my cousins were very much defined by the ranch. Okay, it's obvious that Kaptain doesn't understand that. She never took the time to actually go to Montana and see the country, because you can tell it's not Montana. That is New Zealand on steroids. Montana is one of the most beautiful places on God's green earth. If I couldn't live in Wyoming, in the Jackson Hole, Wind River area, I would live in Montana. There's something about the wildness and the mountains and the animals that speaks to me. You can just get lost there and people will leave you alone. The sky, big sky country, there's a reason why. When it's nighttime, you look up and you actually see the Milky Way, because there's no what they call light pollution, but there aren't any big city lights to filter the stars out. And because you're at a higher elevation, you're closer to actually the atmosphere, so you can actually see it. And it's heaven on earth. People can talk about their tropic paradises, but I would give me the mountains of the West, and a good horse to ride, and a rifle in the scabbard, and a gun on my hip, and I'm as happy as I could ever be. I'm fishing poles, because the trout streams are amazing. That's not the point. The point is, this woman went out of her way to deconstruct the Western, and it didn't work. It didn't work for Sam Elliott, who's been in hundreds of Westerns, as far as I know. He knows ranch families. I mean, I'll give you an example. In the podcast that he was talking about, he basically said that he just spent a few days with 5 generations of a ranch family in Texas. Okay, that's a ranch family. When he played Basil Plumley and We Were Soldiers once, he befriended Sergeant Major Plumley and went to his funeral and sat with the widow. Okay, this guy takes what he does seriously, because he's representing real people. Okay, and I don't see the showrunner for 1883, Sheridan, running around firing him for having an opinion. Okay, and the REEEing, you guys, the REEEing going on with this and Bob CHAPEK is a REEEE of desperation. It is the final REEEE, as Captain Krypton stated on Kamran's Patreon. It is the final REEEE. People don't care anymore. I think that I'm going to say this, the pandemic killed social justice. Okay? And what's going on in the Ukraine is probably yet another nail in its coffin, because I think a lot of really bad people are about to get exposed, which is why you have people like George Soros and Klaus Schwab freaking their shit out over what Putin's doing. Okay? Not one American boot in Ukraine. Not one. I feel bad for the people caught in the middle. I feel bad for the average Russian soldier. They don't know what's really going on. But again, when I look at the whole thing, the final REEEE is happening. It is the final REEEE. And it is a glorious sight to behold. This is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.